Today we're going back to the classics for Christmas. Keep watching. I'm Brandy, and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. Our first project is going to be Snow Place Like Home. We're going to use a dome or cloche here. This one came from Dirt Cheap. I'm going to use a little Dollar Tree house, any one that you like. I'm going to use some metallic gold paint, some Adirondack white chalk paint, some white spray paint, white glitter, and some little Christmas trees. One is gold, one is white. You can choose whatever you like. And then a little piece of this snowy cloth. All right, we're going to start off by getting this house painted up. Now, I'm going to give this 2 coats actually, and I'm going to cover the entire thing except for the bottom. With the chalk paint, it's thick, so it will settle down in all those little spaces, and I want to cover up all that color. So I'm going to use the white spray paint to go over the bottom here. I'm going to lay this little scrap of cloth on top. I'm going to roughly cut out the size that I'm going to need all the way around. And then I'm just going to take that piece off. I know that it's the right size, and I'll fold it over twice. And then I'm going to even out the edge here to make it a better fitting, smoother circle. Gotta have some sharp scissors. And I'm very happy with the way this turned out. It's gonna fit perfectly right here. And this is a little bit stretchy, so you can move it around just a little bit if you need to. I'm gonna use just a little bit of this glue stick. It's purple. It's purple when it's wet, but it does dry clear, and you will see that. I like that this gives us the softness and thickness on the bottom, but if you choose to just use something like fake snow, you can certainly do that as well. Either way will work. Just be sure to make it your own. All right, so I'll take some of that gold paint now and go over the white. I chose the white to go underneath the gold so that the gold would be a crisper, brighter color. If I would have put it over the black, there's no telling how many layers it would have taken to achieve this look, so going with the lighter paint worked for me. Also being sure that I go over the edges and around the bottom edge and under the top as well. Full coverage here. Did the first coat with the paintbrush. Once it's dried, I'm just going to use a piece of sponge to put the second layer on, and it's going to make it a little bit thicker and give it a bit of an aged look, which is perfect when you're working to make classic Christmas pieces. So I'll take my little house. It is nice and dry, and I'll just test it out to see where I want the tree to go. You got a little room in here, so I'm just going to kind of move it more toward the back. So we'll have a little space in the front to decorate or landscape. I'm going to take the gold tree, and I do have 2 of these, and my little cutters here, and just cut that top layer off of the gold tree. So this fits the scale, and it will actually fit the inside of the dome much, much better. So now we have 2 little beautiful gold trees right in the front. A little bit of hot glue is going to keep that in place for each one. And then I am going to do a little bit of glittering on this house. I love that white glitter. You can use fake snow or Epsom salt, whatever you want, but I thought glitter would be really pretty in the cloche, that it would be really pretty for the scale of this project. So I'm just using a little bit of this Mod Podge, and yeah, I didn't want to get up and get a brush, so I am a country girl and I don't mind getting my fingers dirty. So I'm just going to dab this here and there all over the top. And then I can start putting on that beautiful white glitter. I'm doing it inside of a box top. That way any of the fall off can be added back on here. I don't want to waste anything, right? I usually get my glitter at the thrift store. People, I guess, get it for school projects or something. You know, they use a little bit and then they don't need it anymore, so they get rid of it. I mean, glitter's messy. Let's just be realistic here. It's messy. It's pretty, but my goodness, you'll have it for years in your house. My grandchild has it in his hair, and even when he's not even at my house, I find glitter in his hair. It's so weird. Okay, so then I'm going to take a small brush and go over the railing and all the smaller spots, the areas where snow would collect if it was actually collecting. I'm just slinging it in there just to make sure it gets on all those surfaces. and then I'll let it dry. I'm going to use spray adhesive on the top and the leftovers in this box to make a very pretty little piece here, and then I'll add just a little bit more just to give it the look of glistening snow, and you can see it already how pretty that looks. Then you can, use your spray adhesive on the top or some hairspray or something to help hold it in place. Now I know where I want it to go, right? So I'm getting my placement again. And I took this little miniature snowman that I had. You can use something from Dollar Tree if you wanted to. And I just painted it with the same white chalk paint in 2 coats. I'm going to turn my little light on. I put the little snowman down there. And then I'll get my dome back in place with my light on. And this is how it is going to look. Thank you to all of my Magic Makers channel members. I appreciate y'all, and I love that you love me enough to be a member. The next project is going to be some silver bells. This is a thrifted piece, y'all. I got this from the thrift store. It has got some damage. It's got some like remnants of glue on it. It's faded. Giving you the measurements here so you can get an idea of what I am working with. It's about, 16 by 7. I cleaned it really well. I'm going to get a tree from Dollar Tree, open it up. We don't need any of the legs. This is what I got from Temu, just some holly pieces, but you use whatever type of greenery you like. This is hammered silver paint. It's a spray paint. So we're going to start always by cleaning. So everything has been wiped down with my alcohol wipes or my cleaning wipes, and I'm going to take a little bit of heat, not too much because these are plastic, and I'm just going to add a little heat to soften up this glue that was on here. And I'm going to take my little scraper and get as much off as I can. Looks much better, right? So now I'm going to take it outside and we're going to make silver bells. While that paint is drying, and it does take 2 coats, I'm going to start opening up this tree because this is going to be the background for our bells. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but I think it gives a better look, and it's a better impact, I think. But you could always take your bells and just hang them right on the tree if you would like. So I'm going to open these all up so that it is upside down and flat, pulling everything out to the sides, just kind of trying to be sure that I don't have any holes, that I've pulled the right amount out to the left and the right amount out to the right. And this little tip that hangs off, I will just trim it off because we don't need that piece. Once those bells are coated and dried, this is how they look, and I absolutely love it. I hope that you do too. I'm going to use 2 of these little round ornaments to go on the inside as the clappers for the bells. I've just put them on these little sticks here. I'm going to take them out, spray paint them, and while they're drying, I'm going to dress my tree. I have used spray adhesive and some snow to prep it. Here are the clappers for the bells. I'm going to add glue in here now because we're going to use these sticks to help apply them to the bell. I'm going to put some glue down in the ornament. I'm going to put the sticks in, and then I'm going to put these bells on the inside. Now, in the inside, these bells once were musical, but they're broken now. But they still have these little 2 boxes mounted on here, which is absolutely perfect for us to put the stick in there. So I'm just going to add some hot glue. And then the stick, the ones I got, just happen to fit perfectly if you push them all the way into the tip of the bell to get equal length. Look at that. Perfect. So now I've got some silver wire that I'm going to use because it matches the bell and you won't even see it. I'm going to go through the branches and around the stem of this tree, which is now upside down. And I'm going to wrap it around the metal part and then flip it over and wrap it around the back, and this will hold it in place securely. I didn't have to use any glue to stick the bell down. You see, it's very secure. Nice. Then I'm going to start putting down the holly and berries. Love this very, very much. I'm going to just take the little wires that are on the back, and I'm going to use those to my advantage so that I could have something to put some glue on. I made like a little circle or oval loop there, and I'll add some glue to that, and that's going to help lift it up just a little bit so that it is not glued completely flat. I don't want everything to just be completely stuck down and flat. I'm going to use some of my ribbon here. It's just a thin silvery ribbon. And I'm going to use this as a hanger. So I'll just tie it in the first side of the bell. And then I am going to just pull a length of it out and just tie it on the other side. Now, if you want to do double knots, go ahead and do that. If you want to add a little hot glue, you could do that. If you prefer to use jute or baker's twine or a length of chain, whatever you like, you go right ahead and do that. But I love that this silver is so similar to the bells, the color of the bells. All right, don't worry about that stem there because that's going to be covered as we put down these little bundles of berries. I'm just twisting and just like I said, using those wires to my advantage. In some places when I'm doing this, I'm going to be using it as a little riser for the berries. And in some places, I will be using these almost like a pick or a bobby pin to attach it to the branches. I'm just going along here until we get this as full and lush as we like. Hey, I just want to take a minute to tell you all thank you very, very much for participating in November's Subscriber Appreciation Month. It was a lot of fun. A lot of things have been sent off, and there are still a few more names that I am due to draw very soon and get that information out to you. So be sure that you have your notification bell on, because when I do a community post, you'll be able to see if you're the winner or not. I always post it there, and I will post it under your original comment. So go back to the videos and double check, because there are people who have won that have not contacted me for their information. And after a certain amount of time, I've just got to move on. You know, I have to just move on. Or I get tied up forever doing it, and I really don't have the time. I really don't, y'all. I love y'all, but can't do that. My detective skills are not that good. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and I do appreciate it. And we've got some things coming up in our membership group. I've got some surprises for you gals and guys, so be ready for that. All right, we're going to continue to add along here. And you can see how I just kind of use the little wire pieces to slide it between the branches. You can twist them around, and then I'm just securing in here and there with the hot glue to make sure that things are staying in place. And I already absolutely love the way this looks. I had some ribbon out and thought that maybe I would put a bow on here, but I really wanted the center of attention to be on the bells themselves. So I left the bow off for this one, for those of you who do not care for bells. Very classic silver bells. The next project is going to be a standing jumbo ornament. So I've got this big ornament that I found at the thrift store. Big and pretty. I have a candle stand that I got thrifting a long time ago. Has been in my stash. You'd be surprised what you can find in your stash when you actually clean your space. My daughter is helping me get organized right now, thank goodness, because it is rough after all these holidays, y'all. I'm telling you, the end of the year, the holiday mess is so overwhelming. But anyway, so you can see the ribbons and the other things there as I was chatting. And we're going to use 3 different colors of paint. So I've got a green, a red, and a gold. A variety of brushes, whatever makes it easy. And a little paint tray. You can get these from Dollar Tree. That same greenery that I had a ton of pieces of. Got that. I'm going to use it again. We're using it up, y'all. We're going to use it up. I don't need this cap, so I'm just going to twist it right off the top. I'm going to use my big old glue gun here, and I'm going to try to fill the tip of that ornament, that top tip, with some glue so that when I put this stick down in there, it will just be held in place very securely. So the stick is going down. It's a very thin dowel. I find these things thrifting all the time, and I get them just in case. I'll use some of this double stick mounting tape and put this in several pieces across the top of the candelabra or the candle stand. And then I'm going to add hot glue around them and then kind of over the top of some of the places, just because, I don't know, I got a little sloppy here. But it worked. It worked. Then I'll take a round styrofoam disc, flip this over, make sure it's centered, let it sit for a minute, I'm going to grab those 3 paints and I'm going to go over this. I didn't really care for the bright green. I wanted to make it look a little bit older, a little bit darker. So I'm going to do a lot of work on this. I'm not going to show you all of it, but I'm going to use 2 coats of paint on each one of these colors except for the gold. I just did a touch up on the gold where there was some scratched off areas. And then I'm going to take it outside and put it in the garage by the fan and let it dry. So my first idea was, since this is white and not green, and I wanted it to blend in with the greenery I'm putting on, painted it green, let it dry, and then I decided, well, we can't really successfully use the glue on the pieces of greenery without melting the foam a little bit, and it might fall off. So I thought, well, let's just use some gold ribbon, something that closely matches the color that's already in the candle stand. That will be okay. It will just look like another layer on the top. So that's what I decided to do. I'm just taking that gold ribbon and I'm going to go all the way around lightly with the glue because, you know, hot glue and foam, you know how that works. And then I'll cut it neatly off. And this is how it's going to look. I'm going to let that green paint dry. And then I'll take some of those pieces, and they're in 3s, right? Those little branches that we've been using on these projects, they're in 3s. So I'm just going to take them and put them down. Yeah, I did not measure, and you are welcome to count how many I actually put on this layer, but I'm leaving these about 1.25 inches apart, maybe 1.5 inches apart. You have to hold those on there a minute to let them dry. I'm just not making you be bored and watch me hold all of these pieces, but you get the idea. You got to let that glue set up before you move on to the next one. Okay, once that first layer is done, this is how it's going to look. These are going to be hanging downward. Okay, so now here is that bulb once I've got it completely redone, and then I sprayed it with some satin sealer spray. It's completely dry. I'm going to trim down the stick because we don't need that much of it. And then I'll be using that stick to help me hold it in place. So I'm going to push it down on there. And then I'm going to push the mouth of the bulb down in there as well. You can see right now it's sitting right on the top, close enough to the center. And I'm going to push down on it so that it will bite down into that foam and give me an idea of where I need to apply my glue. So now you can see the original hole and you can see the circle around it. I'm going to use E6000 on the inside. And then on the outside of it, where that ring is, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue. Hot glue is going to help hold it in place while that E6000 is drying. Plus, it'll have some stability from the stick that we're putting in there as well. Otherwise, it would just fall off, right? It would just fall completely off. But now this is how that is going to look, and I have to hold it there for a little while until the glue sets up, and then as it's setting up, I'm going to add more. You can see the white around there. That's where I added the hot glue. Now we're going to work on the next layer of greenery on this beautiful piece. So I'm going to go in there again. These are the same exact length as the other ones. And I know you can't see, but I'm going to show you in just a moment what I'm doing here to add the next layer. This layer is actually going to be on top. This is pushed all the way against the mouth of the ornament. You see how these look? All the way against the mouth and hanging over the side. That's half of them done. Proceed around until the entire thing is done. Just like that. We're just repetitive, doing the same thing all the way around. And then for the last layer, I'm going to cut the 3 pieces apart and take the 2 shorter branches off of each of these pieces and add those with some hot glue all the way up against the opening of this ornament. And I will do that all the way around as well. It covers up the base and adds a little more security. Oh, love that. Absolutely love that. It just makes it look like it's blooming out of there. All right, so this project will be getting a bow. So I've got my bow making tool. If I don't have this linked for you in the description box, Let me know in the comments. I'd be very happy to share with you how I made this if you would like to make one of your own. I am not the original inventor. I am not trying to take credit for their work, so please don't be upset by that. It's just at the time I was a stay-at-home mom trying to get a business started, and I needed the tools to do the work, so I made one for myself. So you choose whatever length bows you want here, whichever, length. I ended up shortening this down. You don't see where I shorten it down, but watch the technique and just know that the bottom piece is a 5-inch loop on each side. And see what I'm doing? Because this is flat on one side and the other side is like a velvet or a velour, you have to twist it in the middle to get that pretty side up. So that's what you see me doing. I'm twisting it. These are wired ribbons. I am going to go down an inch for the next layer. You can see where my fingers are. I went down an inch, and then I'll twist it, make the next loop, and it's going to be down an inch too. And then I'm going to cut off my piece of ribbon. That's going to be my tail. I've got tails on both sides, and those tails are about 14 inches long. The next layer is going to have the gold on it. Now, this is all the gold I had left on this roll, so I just decided to go ahead and use all of it. It looks really the same on both sides. That's what I was looking at there to see if I needed to twist it, and it's really not necessary to twist it. So I am just going to make my loops. You're going to do 3 inches now. So the longest loop is 5, then 4, then 3. The gold ribbon is in 3 on both sides. Okay? And then we'll do 1 on each side. That's a little bit smaller. And then a loop in the middle. Y'all, my tummy's growling. No wonder it's lunchtime. Ooh, I'm hungry. My grandbaby's in the other room with my daughter, and I can hear him. He's putting up a little bit of a fuss. I think he's sleepy. He's so sweet, y'all. Ugh, grandbabies. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. He is such a doll. Okay, so here's that loop in the middle. Now, I don't normally do this, but the loop in the middle is important because it's going to cover up the hardware, and I've been told that it's good to do odd numbers. So, I always make it my own anyway, but I thought, well, let's just do it in the middle for kicks and giggles. How about that? So now I've got my zip tie. I'm going to go over it, get my hand on there, pull that bow off, slip that zip tie right down in the gap where the ribbons were being held. Then I'll trim it down, and I'm going to cover that up with a little bit of pipe cleaner. This is just red pipe cleaner. I don't want that white to show. If I would have thought about it, I would have used this one in the first place. All right, now we get to fluff the bow. And from the moment a bow is born in my hands, it is fluffed into the very last second. I am forever fluffing. I am forever fluffing and floofing and messing around with the bows, y'all. I just have to do it. I have to do it. I see the potential in them, and they just need the work done. Okay. So now I'm going to take those and just fluff them out. I can trim the edges now for a little bit of a different angle. And yes, y'all can absolutely see that we're redoing the basement because it's a total wreck around there and the doors are open and all that. But don't pay attention to that. Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain. Do y'all know what that's from? I bet you don't. I bet you do. Y'all know what that's from. Put it in the comments. I need to hear it. I need to hear somebody knows what I'm talking about. So fluff the bow, then we're going to work on the tails. Now the benefit, of course, of a wired ribbon, in case you are new here, is that you can kind of give it some body and shape, and it will stay the way you put it. So I'm going to be playing around with these ribbons and show you 2 different ways that you can style these. I'm going to cut these at a slant, but you can definitely dovetail if you would like. I feel like a slant in the ribbon is a little more authentic to the way things used to be. So that's the way I decided to cut them. And I will cut shorter and shorter as I go. I like to start off with a longer ribbon. I'm just going to make sure my tails lay where I like them. Okay, so this is one way. This is one way if you like the loop. Or you can grab something to make a curl. And this would be like if you were putting a roller in your hair and you twist it around the roller and you come down with a curl. Or like if you used a curling iron, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to show you how you can do that if you would like to make curls, but you could do it with your hand as well. The bigger the object that you use to twist, the bigger the loops are going to be. And if you use something really tiny, you're going to have very tight loops. I really like the curl on the ribbon for this project, so that is how I am going to leave this. You could certainly use this as a centerpiece as well if you would like to. I've did a video with giftable centerpieces, and these are definitely pieces that you could give away as well. So now I thought, why not add a couple of more of those little scraps of greenery right into the bow itself. So I'm going to add it here. You know, when you come to this channel, I'm always encouraging you to make it your own and to do it in the most affordable way possible. My crafts might not be the most inexpensive, but I promise you they will never look cheap. Very traditional, classic Christmas piece that is elegant and so pretty. The next is going to be our trio candle round. So I'm going to start off, these are just little pick pieces that I've cut apart. I've got a sleeve of ornaments from Dollar Tree, so there are 12. Green, gold, and red. I've got green, gold, and red plaid ribbon and a red ribbon. They are both wired. I will only be using one of these, so you can decide what you like best. 2 blocks of foam from Dollar Tree. We will cut these with this little foam pool noodle knife. I've got some little pieces of round wood pieces, I guess. And then 3 of these beautiful glittery handles from Dollar Tree. I found them back during Thanksgiving hunting. That's when I found them. So you're going to pull the little tabs out of the bottom, and look how pretty they actually flicker. And there's very little fallout too. Also going to need a 12-inch round. Now mine happened to be something that I got at Dirt Cheap, because I get Target discards or whatever you want to call them, the stuff that doesn't sell. It'll go to Target in big pallets, and then I can buy it super cheap. Most of the time I find stuff for 50 cents a piece, which is fantastic for a wood round. So I'm going to take these pieces. You can see they've been used before. They were actually given to me by a lady named Teresa, who was so sweet. She gave me a bunch of stuff when she was moving, and I knew I could use these pieces. So I'm just going to kind of score them and then cut them, and then I will take them and rub them against themselves, which will kind of sand it off and make them a little more flat. I'll do the same thing with the other one. Just kind of make them flat. We want it to be a little bit flatter on the bottom. Clean it up, of course. Then we'll take these little round pieces. Now, you can use little wood rounds from Dollar Tree, whatever you want to use. The idea, or you could even use blocks actually, the idea is to make little risers for these so that it's kind of graduated as it goes down. One will be short, the next one will be medium, and the next one will be the tallest. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to show you here. 1, 2, and 3. Just making sure these are lined up nice and cylindrical, and you can see there'll be 3 different sizes. I'm going to use green paint. This is just a dark green color. That does not matter. Use whatever you like, but because I don't want this to stand out, I want it to blend in. I'm just painting it green so it will kind of fade into the background when I start putting greenery on this arrangement. This is another one, y'all, would be a beautiful gift to give to someone. Not everybody is into the crazy colors for Christmas and the animal prints and the farmhouse. You know, there are people in our family who don't like all that wild stuff. They just like the simple, traditional thing. And I love that this is a vintagey, older style that is just, it's a classic, right? So it's always relevant in some way. I'm happy to share that with you as well. So I'm just going to line these up here, and they're not centered, and I'm not bothered by that. I wasn't trying to get them centered. I'm going to make just essentially a bigger foam bottom for this. So if you have one big solid square, you could definitely use that. I'm just going to add a little hot glue and put these into place so that they will stay down here. It doesn't take a lot because, like I said, the foam will melt when you put the glue on it. It's not important in this situation. We're not going to be worried about that. Okay, so it is locked in place. You can see these are not level, and that does not matter. Nice and flat. Now, I didn't want to use black, and I'm going to show you what you can use. So don't think I'm leaving it that bare color. I'm not. I'm going to fix that. Don't worry. Now I'm pushing down a little bit to give me some markings in the foam so I know exactly where I want to place these. And I'm just testing it out to make sure that there's enough space that these are going to stand tightly against each other or close together, you know. And then I'll add a little hot glue again to put these in place. The double stick tape would be great for this too. That mounting tape is like a gel consistency. That would work too. Now we're going to make picks out of these ornaments. So I'm just going to add some glue on the inside. And this little shear bonder it's small. It fits right on the mouth of this. And for smaller projects, it does work good to get in these little spaces without making a mess with glue. So I'll put the pick down in there, and then I'll go in the top and kind of plug the hole with glue as well so that these don't slip off. And then I'll put each one aside, all 12 of them. I'll just put them aside and let that glue cool down so that our picks are nice and solid. So here's that tint. It's a walnut color tint. It's not a wax and it is not a paint. But if you want to use either one of those, you certainly can. The darkness from this on this walnut is going to make it fade into the background, and the flowers that are on there you will not see because we are going to be putting floral picks on there. Okay? No worries about that. Now here are the beautiful picks. I got these at the thrift store. There are a few pieces that have 3 poinsettias, and there are a few that have 1 poinsettia. So I'm going to take advantage of that and alternate. I have 2 of the 3 and 2 of the 1. They're going to fit beautifully on the sides here. So I'm getting an idea of my placement, and I'm going to cut off the excess because we don't need all that stem in the way. I'll just cut it off, and then I can bend the tip of that stem and press it right into the foam on that outer edge. I have already put a bend in the wire from the florals with my hand, so it's already got a little bend, so it will curve around there. I'll take these floral pins and I will find a spot, an inconspicuous spot, to put these pins to hold these pieces in place. These work so well in place of using glue because I don't think that it would hold it, especially with it having that bend in it. I don't think glue would hold it in place. So then I'll go to the next one. Okay, so if you're doing a classic piece and you don't care for red and gold and green, what could you do? Well, you could really do any combination. You could do a dark blue and silver and white. That would be beautiful as well, and I have seen that in classic decor. You could use any type of a plaid theme, you know, that you wanted to use, and you could use something with a white poinsettia rather than red if you want to. But like I said, I'm going for that classic look, and this is more of the traditional classic look that I have seen, and so this is what I chose. And I do like to do some research, y'all. I don't go all into the Encyclopedia Britannica for it, but I do like to do a little bit of research so that I can be somewhat accurate. My pieces that I make are always inspired pieces. I'm not trying to make an exact duplicate of something that is vintage or retro or traditional or classic. I'm giving you my idea, you know? And I encourage you to do it your way as well. If it's bringing you joy in your home and you're proud of it, then it's exactly what it needs to be. Don't let anybody critique your work. All right, so now we're back around to the last side. We're going to put that last piece in the exact same way we've been doing it. Secure it down with a pin on this side. And if you need more pins, you can definitely use more pins. You could take a little pick that I have up there in the right corner, bend it in half, and use that as a pick. You know, use your imagination and think outside the box. So far, look how full and lush this is. And that's only 4 picks. You could do this with something similar from the Dollar Tree, possibly. Right? You can definitely get a round sign from Dollar Tree and use it. Flip it over and use the back. You don't, just because the front has a decoration on it doesn't mean you can't use it. For $1.25, I mean, that's a good price. So now I'm going to start making little bundles of these ornaments, and I'm going to do a green, a gold, and a red in various sections in this arrangement. Now all I'm really doing is looking for spots that have like a little opening or where it's a little, maybe missing a little something. That's where I'm adding in these pieces initially. And I'm doing it in 3s. I like them in the little clusters of 3s. I think that looks nice. And then I'm going to choose another spot and do the same thing. I don't want it to be matchy-matchy, so I'm going to kind of rotate where I put the red and the green and the gold, as opposed to the neighbor that's beside it that's green, gold, and red, or whatever. You get the point. I'm going to give it some variety here. So now we're going to do the last little section. Perfect. Now I'm happy. This is exactly how I would like it to be, keeping in mind that the tallest spot is going to be the back of the arrangement. So I want the front section of the arrangement to be, in focus. Right now, what you're looking at is the tallest section is right by my hand, where my hand is now, right? So that is going to be the back. Straight across from that to the right corner will be where the front is. I'm going to take a piece of a wreath that I thrifted, cut the little picks apart, and add to it in the areas that I want to cover the foam. I've got my beautiful ribbon here. I've just cut a length of that. I'm going to trim it at a slant like I did on the other arrangement. Squish that awareness sign into a bow. And then for me, I'm just going to grab some jute because it's close by. And I've been working all day. You know how it is. It's convenient, so that's what I'm going to use. But you could use rickrack, you can use a red ribbon, you could use floor wire, you could use a pipe cleaner. You can use a scrap of something else you got over there, whatever you want to use. And I'll make a double knot with this. Now with the remainder of it, I'm going to take it and tie it around one of the little pine branches that is sticking up in the front corner, because that is the front, right where the bow is. It's actually helping support it to stand a little bit. I'll cut that extra off. Kind of fluff it in arrangement a bit. All right. And then I'll go back in and make sure that I'm kind of tucking pieces here and there, so that in any direction you see this, if you put this on a table, nobody's going to see a bald spot. I also had some gold pine cones left over from last year, and I decided to add those in here just to give it a little more fullness, to give it a little more richness and wealth and, that little extra pizzazz. You know what I mean, pizzazz. Okay, so now they're going to look great here. I love the positioning of it. Everything's been fluffed. Of course, I'm going to keep fluffing, but it's been fluffed. I'm going to turn all of my lights on and look at the beauty before our eyes. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. And this is not even the style I use in my home, but you know what? I can appreciate that this would be beautiful in someone else's home. Someone who loves plaid, someone who loves something that is traditional, somebody in the right age group, right? So here are the 4 projects. Now I'm going to give you a closer look of how they are when my little hot, gluey, painted on hands are not on top of them. Here is our little Snow Place Lake home. So cute. My grandson likes this one too. He likes things with lights. Look at that. And by the way, his mama puts a string of lights around the seat in front of his car seat, so he has something to look at night. How about that? There's a little tip for your grandbabies and your babies. Here's our silver bells. Rather than hanging them on the wall, I just have them resting on my little wreath frame here. If you are new to my channel, I would love to have you stay and become part of our family. Hit the subscribe bell, the notification bell there, and you won't miss any notifications. If you enjoyed the information in this video and the crafts and the tips that I've given you, I would appreciate a thumbs up. It helps my channel and it helps me to do better. Here is our next piece with the curls in it. Of course, you know, like I said, you do whichever way you think is the best. And if you like a shorter ribbon, you can shorten it up. This piece could certainly be used by itself without the bow. If that is something that you would like to leave off, you certainly can do that. Think about these things when you go to the thrift store or a garage sale. What can you pick up that you might could put to use later, that you could use maybe for a purpose that wasn't initially intended to be used for? I'm always going to be encouraging you to think outside the box. I'm always going to say thank you for your support and love and encouragement as well. You guys mean so much to me. You're worthy, you're important, you matter. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon. Bye.